Have you ever wondered how a country known for its carnival, soccer, and the Amazon jungle was actually born? The story of Brazil isn't just about beaches and samba. It's a dramatic tale filled with gold, power, and a thirst for revolution. This isn't just a history lesson, it's an adventure. Welcome to Brazilian Curiosities, where history comes alive. It all began on April 22nd, 1500. A massive Portuguese fleet, commanded by Pedro Álvares Cabral, was sailing to India. But a storm, or perhaps a deliberate detour, pushed them far off course. They spotted land and thought it was just another island. They couldn't have been more wrong. It was the edge of a vast, uncharted continent. They called it Terra de Vera Cruz, the land of the true cross. But that name didn't stick. What did stick was Brazil, inspired by a valuable resource they found in abundance, pau-brasil, a type of wood that produced a brilliant red dye, highly sought after by European textile makers. This red wood gave the new land its name and its first major export. For the next 300 years, Brazil became Portugal's most prized possession, a colonial treasure chest overflowing with wealth. First came the sugar rush. Huge plantations, known as engenhos, covered the northeastern coast, producing a commodity so valuable it was called white gold. But this wealth came at an unimaginable human cost. To work the fields, Portugal began the brutal transatlantic slave trade, forcibly bringing millions of Africans to Brazil under horrific conditions. Their labor built the colony's fortunes, and their culture profoundly shaped what Brazil would become. Then, in the late 17th century, explorers ventured deep into the interior and struck actual gold in a region that would soon be named Minas Gerais, or General Mines. This discovery sparked a gold rush that dwarfed anything seen before. People from all over the world flooded into Brazil, hoping to make their fortune. Diamonds were discovered soon after, and the colony's wealth exploded. Portugal grew immensely rich, using Brazilian gold to build magnificent palaces and churches back in Europe. But as the riches flowed out of Brazil, a sense of resentment began to simmer. The colonists felt they were being exploited, their resources drained to enrich a distant kingdom. The first whispers of independence began to stir. The turning point came in a way no one expected. In 1807, Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Portugal. In a move unprecedented in history, the entire Portuguese royal court, led by Prince Regent Dom João, packed up and fled across the Atlantic. They arrived in Rio de Janeiro in 1808, bringing with them thousands of nobles, officials, and the entire state apparatus. Suddenly, a colony had become the center of a global empire. Imagine that. Rio de Janeiro, a tropical city thousands of miles from Lisbon, was now the capital of Portugal. Dom João fell in love with Brazil. He established universities, banks, and theaters, transforming Rio into a sophisticated metropolis. But this also gave Brazilians a taste of self-governance and a newfound sense of national identity. They were no longer just a colony. They were a kingdom. When Napoleon was finally defeated, the Portuguese government demanded their king return. In 1821, Dom João VI reluctantly sailed back to Lisbon, but he left his ambitious son, Dom Pedro, behind as regent. He reportedly told him, "Pedro, if Brazil is to break away, let it be with you, who will respect me, rather than with one of those adventurers." The pressure for independence was now unstoppable. The Portuguese court tried to strip Brazil of its elevated status and return it to a mere colony. Pedro refused. On September 7, 1822, while traveling near the Ipiranga River in São Paulo, he received a dispatch demanding his immediate return to Portugal. In a moment of defiance, he drew his sword and delivered the cry that would echo through history. Independencia ou morte. Independence or death. Brazil was finally a sovereign nation. But that declaration was just the beginning. Brazil didn't become a republic, it became an empire with its own emperor, Dom Pedro III. The journey from that moment to the massive, diverse republic we know today is filled with more twists, triumphs, and turmoil. In our next episode, we'll uncover how Brazil's brief empire rose and fell, paving the way for the birth of a new republic. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story, please show your support by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and ringing the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. This is Brazilian Curiosities, where every story reveals a piece of our incredible past. See you next time.